37 furnace speedruns. Honestly, I thought they were completely dead, and for a few weeks they were. That was true until minterbit, the creator of the entire category, came back with a revolutionized run that would revive the entire community. This is the complete history of the 37 furnace speedruns, part 2. Because it's been a few weeks, I think it's time for a quick recap. The whole speedrun category came to life when minterbit uploaded a video where he attempted to see how fast he could get 37 furnaces. The only rules to the speedrun were that you had to start on a completely new world and get exactly 37 furnaces in your inventory as fast as possible. It wasn't intended to be anything more than a fun one-off video, but no one expected what was to come next. People responded. And it wasn't just one or two responses either, but tons of people. minterbit unintentionally created an entirely new speedrunning category, and in doing so, he also created tons of competition for himself. The record time shot down extremely quickly, going from over 7 minutes to under 40. The interesting thing is, this all happened in just about a week. One of the most fascinating things that happened along the way is that just as people began fighting to be the first to get a sub-minute time, every player we had known previously just disappeared, and we never saw any of their records again until the category revived. Every player of the newer generation had incredible runs, the big goal being to get the time under 40 seconds. Once a player named Weather did this, that was it. We didn't get any more 37 furnace speedruns for a while. In my first documentary video, link in the description, I'd mentioned that players breaking the 40-second mark was probably the final 10-second barrier, but I couldn't have been more wrong and never could have seen what was to come next. So, where's the record now? And how did we get here? This is the second and final part of the 37 furnace speedrun history. What exactly did minterbit do to break the record? As the previous seed was almost optimized to perfection, making tiny improvements was out of the question. You see, there are 4 main factors that can make a seed incredibly fast for speedrunning furnaces. They are a buried treasure chest with 14 to 16 TNT, preferably one under just a few blocks, a nearby tree for a crafting table and buttons to activate the TNT, exposed stone, and the hardest part, all of this being right at spawn. All of these things being even just 100 blocks away is way too much for a speedrun, and travel time adds up really quickly. So, did you notice which of these factors the Island Seed doesn't have? If you said the exposed stone, you'd be correct. Although the Island Seed was nearly perfect, it wasn't quite there. minterbit realized that a ton of time was wasted blowing up into the ground, and it would be way faster if you could start spamming the TNT as soon as possible. So this was the seed he found, the Island Seed V2. It was nothing less than absolutely perfect. The treasure was only under 1 block of sand, holding 14 TNT. There are plenty of trees to choose from, which would actually turn out to be crucial later. And best of all, there is a cave perfect for spamming TNTs everywhere, without digging into the ground. After countless hours of both seed finding and grinding, minterbit finally got this run. This new seed was absolutely nuts. Of course, minterbit's time was absolutely insane. However, the run still had a good bit of optimization left. One of the biggest parts of the run left unoptimized was a spawn. minterbit spawned a couple dozen blocks away from the chest, losing a few crucial seconds as he ran to it. The next big issue was his TNT placement. Its main issues were that it was slow, random, a bit unplanned, and minterbit didn't go very far into the cave. If he could have fixed these parts of the run, who knows how much faster of a time he would have had. He brought down the time by about a second, but other players would prove that there was much more to be squeezed out of the category. So now, minterbit was forever gone. I actually personally asked him if he was planning on doing any more runs, but he said the times were just way too fast. So, who would be the next player to take the record? Would it be someone we've seen before or a completely new player? The player that stole the record was no newbie. The time had finally come for the return of Weather. Weather took back the world record with a time of 37 seconds. He was the world record holder before the category went dead for a few weeks, and he didn't wait long at all to rejoin the race. The biggest difference between Weather's run and minterbit's was that in Weather's, it was very clear that he had every single step planned out. He didn't spend any time at all deciding where to place his TNT, which led to his run just feeling a lot more polished. This was his run. So now, the run wasn't only improved after being dead for a while, but the race was revived. By responding to minterbit, Weather brought back some competition that would challenge his time. In my last video, I'd said that the young will always eventually beat the old. Clearly, I'm wrong, because we didn't get a single new speedrunner in this video. So yet again, we then saw the return of an old runner who we thought was out of the race. Glazed Minecraft was back. In the first phase of this category, Glazed Minecraft was nothing short of an incredible runner. He had not only held the record multiple times soon before the race to sub 40 ended, but he was also a decently innovative player, slightly improving the strategies that were already being used. Once again, he came up with his own new strategy that was actually a lot better. Instead of going straight to the buried treasure like minterbit and Weather, Glazed actually spawned right next to a tree and got a log immediately. This was faster because it not only allowed for him to craft as he ran to the treasure, but he also never had to go out of his way to get to the other tree. Another thing that made his run stand out was how far he went into the cave. He went farther in than anyone else, allowing him to place a lot more TNT in it faster. Although these are two very simple improvements, when a speedrun is just under 40 seconds long, every single second counts a ton. But even though it was an insanely optimized run, there was actually a pretty huge hiccup. When Glazed went to go craft his furnaces, he actually only had enough cobblestone for 35. Glazed then exited the crafting table and ran around a bit longer collecting some more cobble. This lost him 3 entire seconds. Of course it was great that he was able to get the record time, but Glazed had just had a glimpse of a run that was so close to perfect. As he could have had a time that was 3 seconds faster, he decided he wasn't done yet. Just a short half hour later, Glazed improved his time and brought it down to 36.4. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the biggest improvement, but every time on the leaderboard is something, I guess. So now, it was once again the time for another runner to come back. Josh was another previous record holder, and he brought down the time by not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 entire seconds. Josh's time was just incredible. The first new thing we see in his run is that he spawned directly on top of the chest. Because of this, he was able to instantly start breaking the sand, already saving time. However, because he didn't start right next to the tree like Glazed did, he would have to run to the other one. Luckily, because of his spawn, he was already pretty close. Another thing I found pretty interesting about his run was his TNT strategy. I thought for sure that Glazed had shown it was most optimal to go really far into the cave, but Josh proved otherwise. He never really went very far in at all, and almost all the TNT he placed was right by the entrance. Josh was optimal in getting all his TNT blown up very quickly. This was in part because he always placed it in clumps of 2 or 3, never only 1 at a time. The only fairly unoptimized part of his run is that he actually ended with an extra block of TNT in his inventory. One basic rule of thumb is that anytime you end with an extra block of TNT, the run always could have been faster. The next time on the leaderboard once again came from Weather. The truth is, there really isn't any doubt about the fact that Weather was the best of all players fighting for the world record. He would always respond to times quickly, his runs were thoroughly planned, and he had faster times on the leaderboard than most other people. From here on out, Weather was the last one still in the game. The competition wasn't between Weather and other speedrunners, but him and the clock. Weather wasn't trying to be the fastest, but he wanted to be the first person to get a sub 30-second time. Weather's first response was with a time of 32 seconds. He spawned right next to the chest, so like Josh, he was able to start breaking it instantly. Once he got into the area for his demolition, he started placing his TNT. Also similarly to Josh, he didn't go very far into the cave. One of the reasons his run was so fast is that he was pretty methodic and running in a pretty consistent triangle, placing his TNT in about the same place every cycle. Next, Weather got his time all the way down to a 30.1, just a mere tenth of a second away from achieving a sub 30. How did he do this? Well, remember when Glaze didn't go for the chest immediately, but instead the log? Weather hadn't thought about implementing that strategy until now, but it proved to be effective. So, Weather got the log at the very beginning of the run, saving a few seconds as he didn't need to go so out of the way for the other one. This led to him being able to spam his TNT a lot sooner, especially because he went so deep into the cave. So overall, his run was surprisingly similar to Glaze's. You get the point. But what Weather decided to do next might shock you. He did nothing at all. He didn't upload for a bit, but I had to ask him, dude, are you planning on doing any more runs? I mean, I've got a documentary to make. There's no way I'm ending that on a 30.1. He told me he was pretty burnt out and was busy, but might get it soon. But after just 20 minutes of attempts, the race finally came to an end. With his astonishing time of 29 seconds, Weather finally ended the fight to the sub 30 second run. And now we can finally say, for sure this time, that the last 10-second barrier has been broken. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.